Welcome to the very first episode of the Advent of AI podcast. I'm your host, Paul Drake. The purpose of this podcast, for those of you who haven't followed my post or haven't seen me posting about this, is there is a lot of hype around AI in the insurance industry. And those of us who are nerds in this industry working on the insurtech side of things, we're really excited about it. But I've noticed, and I've talked to a lot of you out there who are in the trenches working day to day at agencies and carriers, there's a lack of understanding of exactly how AI is going to help you and what ways, what types of problems it can solve and how it can help you. Look, all of us have used ChatGPT to do some pretty cool things. I had it write a short story for my kid, and I've had it give me recipe ideas. But how does ChatGPT, how does AI actually impact those of us who are in the insurance industry? And for those of us who've been in this industry for a long time, you know there's so many problems and there's so many opportunities. Tangibly speaking, how is AI going to impact these things? So that is the purpose of this podcast. My goal with this, and I'm bringing on other founders who share this goal, is to educate first and foremost. So we're here to talk about how AI is going to solve your problems. And secondarily, we're going to highlight the people who are solving these problems. I'm very excited to have for our first episode, Colby Tunick, founder and CEO of Refocus AI. Colby, I'll let you just give a quick introduction of yourself, and then we'll jump into today's topic, which we're both very excited about.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, Paul. Wouldn't be here without our amazing agency and brokerage users that have, let us flourish over the last few years. At Refocus, we take on everything after the initial sale when it comes to servicing. So that's us in a nutshell.
The focus of today's episode is to talk about a problem that I think many of you are very acutely aware of if you're on the agency side. And if you're on the carrier side, you're probably not as attuned to the pain that this causes your agents, which is the myriad of ways by which an agent has to submit an application on behalf of their prospects to get quotes.
Data exchange, moving data, getting quotes back in a timely manner. That's always been a pain point of the industry. At least, admitted more standard lines of business. We've seen really standardization more so than on the excess and surplus side of the business. But I talk to people in the industry every day that spend hours just essentially copying information from one system onto a piece of paper to send it off to get a quote back or vice versa. I think this is just indicative of the fact that there has never been the right or proper amount of investment in technology systems to, at least from the carrier to support the people that are distributing their products, to make that really easy. And from company to company, carrier to carrier, there's different standards. And ultimately, it's just a minefield out there. And that's why it takes so long in 2025 to still get those basic elements of running an insurance agency done.
I'll never forget, I've been in software for 15 years and so much of software industry has been standardized and there's so many conventions that make life really easy for developers. And I naively walked into the insurance industry thinking, hey, this is going to be a lot easier. We'll be able to get folks automated quotes. But then you start to realize that only works for certain risks and other risks. It's a very time consuming, laborious process to go and get quotes. And so then I realized it's not just carrier portals, it's Accord forms, it is supplemental apps, it's sometimes a PDF, it's sometimes an email. I talked to our friends over across the pond in London, and they are sending submissions via email still and receiving those via email. And there's a lot of back and forth. So what we're dealing with, and I posted about this on LinkedIn about a month ago, and a lot of people resonated with this. We're dealing with a tremendous problem of variability that seems somewhat insurmountable until the advent of AI. I just dropped the title in there. That's why I keep using the term advent of AI. There's something about AI that's actually changing this and leveling the playing field. And what I'm really excited about bringing on Colby is one of the first people that I know that I've talked to that is actually implementing what we call computer use. I'm going to let Colby explain all this, but what we call computer use to solve this problem and to kind of standardize insurance. AI is going to standardize all the variability around submissions. And we're seeing the very tip of the spear right now with Colby and Refocus. So kudos to them.
One of the biggest limitations has historically been in solving any problem in the insurance industry is how do you, again, get data from one place to another? And not to be too jargony, but the rails that data runs on are called application program interfaces or APIs. And they allow first name in one system to equal first name in another. when you multiply that by the number of systems an agency uses times the number of carriers that they have appointments with times the lines of business that they're writing, you end up with an exponential morass of just crap. It's not a fun situation to be in, and that's why 2025 we're still talking about this, because we have certainly invested in the ability for humans to get this work done in the insurance industry, logging in through carrier portals, another one of people's favorite topics, but not allowing computers to seamlessly exchange information on a human's behalf. What's really exciting is now we're at the point where computers, as not necessarily thinking machines, I think that's still a little too far forward, but as entities that might be able to understand context now, and the context is what is important, can navigate human interfaces either through what's called computer use or browser use, and essentially complete tasks in the same systems that humans were previously completing those systems, but automating it at the same time.
This is revolutionary. This is absolutely revolutionary. How is it that they're able to do this? Kind of breaking this down, how can a computer navigate a screen like a human would? Are they taking control of the computer? Are they, how does this work in a more abstract, generic sense, but still, how does this work?
Yeah, what these large language models or AI systems, ChatGPT, Gemini, Anthropic, throw the one you know in the mix, have done is they've essentially, as they were storing information from the public website, they were also or the public web, they were also capturing billions of screenshots, right, of every website that they were what's called crawling or scraping information off of. And through that process, these computers have learned what simple web page elements are, like buttons and text fields. And it can recognize if there's a first name field on, let's say, a carrier application online, that it needs to find the applicant's first name and then plug it into that field. And that's essentially how computers have been able to rationalize through some of these human interfaces. And it's exciting because it essentially makes all of the things that people in the industry have been hoping for around seamless exchange of information possible, especially because we're never going to be at the point where the right application program interfaces, or I said the rails that data runs on, will exist.
That's so absolutely true. And up until this point, the solution to this problem for many has been a human solution. You either hire a support specialist, someone who can support the producer, or the producers themselves are having to do this work. It's a human solution to a computer problem and a lack of investment, as Colby said, in the right technology. These carriers just haven't been making it easy for you to get your data to them and for them to get their data to you. And we're dealing with some antiquated systems. I'm sure each and every one of you has encountered at one point in time either a carrier portal that was difficult to use and not very advanced, or an AMS that was very clunky. That still exists, and there's just not as much pressure in the industry to change that. So this is disruptive in a sense because humans previously were doing this, but that's a very costly solution. And while VAs have been tremendous, and they are still tremendous asset for a lot of agencies, this problem with computers being able to navigate interfaces and being trained on these interfaces, this takes a significant part of the cost structure for agencies down, because now they can automate a lot of this work. Not all just yet, but a lot of this work can be automated and will be automated by AI so that it levels the playing field. And what this means, the ripple effect of this is pretty tremendous, because not only are agencies saving time, but insureds get their quotes faster and they get better quotes faster. So Colby, in the last few minutes here, I would love to hear what Refocus is doing on this account. Like I said, folks, this is new stuff. I posted about this a month ago. ChatGPT came out with Operator, and the world was starting to wake up to this. The insurance world is waking up to this. You all saw this, and I'm sure you got excited. Colby is doing this. He's applying this. So Colby, tell us about it. I'm really excited to hear.
Yeah, so as of this week, we actually have some of the people on our internal customer council, agents and brokers, just like the people that might be listening in, completely automating their remarketing process for customers at renewal. So the reason we took the approach we did is, the technology to solve this right now, it's called a rater system or a rater engine. But the perennial problem with those raters is they don't pull down actually reliable numbers. And many an agent has pulled down a quote from a rater for $2,000, gone into the carrier portal to bind it, and it's actually 5,000. And it's like, what the heck is going on? So what we've started to do at Refocus, building on top of our additional or our existing analytics engine to help our agents maintain a right quote to bind ratio, is when we detect a customer that's going to cancel before the renewal period, we will actually log into the carriers that agent has appointments with into the carrier portals, just like a human would, pull down actually bindable quotes, present that information in an adjustable way, and really tee it up for the agent to save 80 to 90% of their time that they would normally have spent logging into Nationwide and Travelers and all the other places that they would have had to type in first name, last name, address, so on and so forth. So it's been tremendous. The quotes we're pulling down are extremely accurate, and the agents that are already using our tool have had to make very few modifications, if any, before they go ahead and bind that. So it's something we're seeing that essentially is going to make raters obsolete. It's going to make people who have invested in robotic process automation or RPA, this is sort of the next wave of that, because the advantage is we don't have to teach it how to navigate every single step of a application or a requote process. It'll learn by itself, and it'll apply that from carrier to carrier. It'll apply agency specific rules. Sometimes agencies, jokingly call this like risk engineering. It's like how do you answer certain questions on a carrier application?
Of course.
And this technology can learn that and apply it.
I think that is what's really, really a unique point is that these these AI models are going to get smarter and they're going to get better at navigating these carrier portals as they've trained more and more and more. And the last point I think is really essential, and I really like that you brought this up. Every agency has their own unique special sauce, their own flavor, their own predilection for how they want to do things. And that can be factored into these AIs. It's what's called prompting. You can prompt, you can train, you can tell the AI what you want it to do, and it will do that for you. It will keep those instructions in mind when it does this work. So we're right at 15 minutes. This is a micro podcast to talk about a very large subject, but I'm really glad that you joined us. Colby, thank you so much for jumping on, man. And I'm really excited to hear more about how Refocus is applying this technology. I'm sure you will be posting about it. I would love to just keep up with your journey. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great day.